All right.
Is that what you're going with, right?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Any breaks in between, or are you just going to go?
Let me go straight through. When I got Bernard calling in with the other guy, and I'm gonna do like a 10-minute intro or something, and then when they call in,
okay, that sounds good. All right, guys, what
we
we're
should
gonna
be
do
good.
is, so we'll get you started. Want you started now? Are you good?
Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
Just want to pull something up.
You let me know when you're ready.
All right.
You guys really can just start it for me. And that's thank you. I appreciate it. I gotta do these. Oh wait, what did we do? Hold on.
Let it play too long.
No, I paused it. It's stupid thing.
Let it play and then it auto.
No, what it does is it goes back.
Just find the first one. No, it's that one.
Yeah.
The thing is, you need to keep it on.
No, I did. I had it on pause. But when you move the microphone, when you move the thing around, that's what happens. If you move the mouse, even though it's not on, you know what I'm saying? And you have your choices up. This is 23, so it's 30. What you're going to do is
Just gotta get to 40 seconds.
what you're going to do is go like this. Okay? Hit play. Change this.
Alright, where are we starting on this track? 40 seconds?
Starting right at 0 seconds.
Starting right at 0?
Yeah, don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. Just keep the volume up. Play with the volume.
How high with the X clip?
Keep it like middle, like a little bit lower than it. A little bit lower than it. We're all ready, wherever you are.
Okay.
Maybe we get started. You guys in a couple of minutes, so I'm going to come right back. All right, yeah. Thank you.
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Our music.
What did he say? 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 What did he say?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the Freedom Truth Radio Show, where the truth will make you mad first and then make you free. This is your host, the one and only Vincent E. Scott, a.k.a. Vegan Drummer Guy, a.k.a. Sinister Minister, a.k.a. Earthquake, a.k.a. Prophet Yosef, the Vegan Soul Chef. Somebody said, boy, you got a lot of names and titles. Well, I do a lot of things, and I can't be defined by one and only thing, but my parents gave me my birth name, and the rest of the stuff is just stuff I do. I'm a firm believer in the fact when you come to this earth, you're supposed to empty yourself and get rid of all the gifts that you have and the callings that you have and make a global impact and transition from where you are and, completely just give yourself out to the earth. And, that's a gift in and of itself. Well, this show, we waste no time. We get right into the topic of discussion and the issue at hand. And this topic today is about money. Everybody's favorite subject. Money. This is a big time. This is a different age that we're in right now, where a lot of things are happening in the world, in the country, in the U.S., and a lot of things are happening with money where people are frustrated. There's the old saying, the old adage that the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer, because it seems like the rich just keep adding to their wealth and the poor just keep losing out. No matter how hard we seem to work as the working class Americans and working class people, we just can't seem to get on top of the game of money. And that's what money is. It's a game. And unless you learn how to play it, we used to have that game back when we were kids, Monopoly. That's sad to say, but that's really how a lot of the way the world works is based on the Monopoly game. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, the way the world is going now with money, and just give you an understanding, a little insight on some stories that we're used to as children, mainly the Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz is something we're all used to. I'm pretty sure most of us have seen that movie. But that story was not just a nice little Disney fairy tale. It had a lot of allegorical statements made in that movie. Not only that, there's a lot of esoteric meanings behind that movie, and the causes behind it, behind the intentions in that movie. I don't know if most of you have even studied any of the esoterics of that movie, but if you just take a look at The Wizard of Oz, first of all, Oz, the OZ, is not just what you think is just a title for the movie, but Oz, you look at it, it's really representing an element, which, that abbreviation is ounces. And what is weighed in ounces that we talk in relationship to money? Gold. So we're talking about the yellow brick road. We're talking about Dorothy, who meets these four characters, or three characters rather, and they're going down this yellow brick road. And this all has symbolism in relationship towards the bank and the Federal Reserve. She meets the Scarecrow, first of all. The Scarecrow is the representation of what we call the straw man, or the legal fiction. That capitalized name that you have on your driver's license, that's really not you. That's not really how you spell your name. You spell your name with the capital first letter and the rest lowercase. But when you look at your driver's license or any kind of document that gets sent to you, such as a bill or any kind of payroll check or anything like that, it's made out to that all caps name, which is your legal fiction, which is your straw man, which is representative of the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz. He represents the person that doesn't have a brain, who's the ignorant Western farmer, so to speak, or in this case, the working class person that just kind of goes along with the system. They go along, they do the same thing every day. They clock into their 9 to 5, they get their kids from school, they go home and eat dinner, they go to sleep, and they go back and do it again all the next day. This is the systematic worker. The next guy that she meets is the Tin Man. This is the guy that doesn't have a heart, but he has a 10. If you look at the spelling of 10, T-I-N, it represents the taxpayer ID number. That's what we all have. That's what makes us all slaves, is the Social Security number, tax ID number, the Tin Man. And you know what? You can say what you want. That number, you can't do anything without it. You can't get a job without it. You can't get a credit card without it. You can't rent a car. You can't do anything. You can't get medical insurance. You can't get life insurance without that TIN number. So here you are, a brainless, heartless soul that this is how the elites see you. I'm not saying that this is how you are, but this is how they see you, because you're just a number. You're just a laborer that has no meaning. And they're capitalizing off of us. And the next one she meets is the lion, which, this is a play on the meaning of what a lion is. Everybody looks at a lion. You look at the most fierce animal in the jungle, the one that has the most heart. And the lion in this case is the coward. And ironically enough, he falls asleep in the movie amongst the poppy seeds. Now, what is poppy seeds besides what's on bagels? It represents drugs, or being under an influence. And nowadays, we are under the influence of media. We're under the influence of social media, under the influence of the internet, entertainment, everything but anything that can get us disfocused from thinking on the correct path. And falling asleep in the poppies is pretty much where a lot of America is, because most of them don't know anything about what I'm talking about. It doesn't make me better than them. It just makes them not aware of what's going on. So what happens is, because they're under the influence of the proverbial poppy seeds, they rather, instead of finding out information about what's going to help them better their lives, or to advance them in the cause of wealth, or help their families get above the system. They rather find out what's going on with the Kardashians or the latest reality show or Love and Hip Hop or whatever. And needless to say, none of those reality shows are reality. It's really sad. They call the most fantasy or fake shows out there, they call it reality. That's what we've attributed to be reality nowadays. And that's really sad. So, all these four characters are walking down the Yellow Brick Road going to the Emerald City, and the Emerald City represents the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is what controls our money. You look at the dollar bill, it says Federal Reserve note. It is not money, it's legal tender. That's what we use in exchange for purchases, it's what we use for commerce, we use in the marketplace, because that's what we've been given. And in 1933, around the time when this movie came out, that's when the Federal Reserve System was created, which means they took all gold out of circulation and they gave us this paper stuff, which is not backed by gold or silver. It's backed by the people's labor. And to prove it to you that it's backed by the people's labor, all the CUSIP numbers that are on the dollar bills that start with a letter and then go with a series of about 7 or 8 numbers. It's on every dollar bill there is. There's a CUSIP number. Those CUSIP numbers match the CUSIP numbers that are on the back of everybody's Social Security card. Didn't know that, did you? Yeah. The money's backed by you and your labor. So you are the one that is making the government rich or making the elites rich. When you get here, you get that birth certificate that your mother is, she gives birth to you and, she gets the birth certificate. She's known as an informant on the birth certificate because now you are a ward of the state. That's why you are awarded a birth certificate. You are a ward of the state. So, but you belong to the state. You don't belong to your mother anymore. You belong to the state, your property. Your chattel property, and that's why your work is what backs the finances of this country. Now, getting into the banking system, the bank. You wonder how the system works. The bank, you take your money that you earn from your job, you go put it in the bank, you deposit it, and the banks nowadays they pay you a whopping 1%, if that. So you leave your $1,000 in the bank for about a year or so, just making round figures. And at the end of that year, you have made about $10 on that deposit. That's your 1%. So how is it that the banks are becoming more and more rich every year from keeping your $1,000 in there and only paying you $10 on there? Well, I'll tell you how they're doing it. Because they really don't have any money of their own. They take our money and they play around with it like Monopoly. They take your money, and because of the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, they only have to guarantee you $250,000 in return. So if you hit the lottery and become a millionaire and you put all your eggs in one basket, if that bank goes belly up, guess what you're getting back? 250 grand. Your millions are going bye-bye, baby. Say goodbye. No more, because that's all they have to guarantee you. However, there is hope. And that's where I have a couple of guests that are about to call in that are going to help me talk about this. We're going to talk about how you, as the working class people of America, can save some money. And not only that, make some money and increase your wealth and kind of guarantee yourself some standing wealth beyond the system of the government and beyond the system of Social Security, which will not be in existence in another 25 years. I mean, I'm in my early 40s and I have about another 25 years or 30 years according to the system to work. And by that time, there will be no Social Security. There will be no retirement. My pension will be pretty much worthless.
Your caller's on the line.
They're on the line? Bring them in.
Here you go.
Bring them in.
Go ahead, guys.
Good evening, Mr. Better.
Hey, what's going on?
Sir?
Is this my friend Bernard?
It is. You also have your other partner, Mr. Mobley, on the line as
Mr.
well.
Mobley's on the line. Good to hear from you guys. This is two of my good friends. Mr. Bernard Borges has a show that I hope you guys will support. He's on Wednesday nights. I believe that's 5 p.m. Is it?
It's 5 p.m. on Wednesday night. Yes,
5
sir.
p.m. on Wednesday nights. Go check him out. He's on the same station. He's talking about business and giving business solutions and advice. And he's a good guy to know, a good guy to talk to about that kind of stuff because he's done very well for himself in the insurance and the banking industry. And also have Mr. Mobley on the line, who is also done very well for himself in the business industry. Been knowing him for a little over 15 years, and ever since I've known him, he's always been looking for the next big thing and really striving to make the next mark in business. Somebody I can look up to, and many young men that I know can probably look up to. And I hope I gave a good preface to what we're going to talk about here, guys, because this whole banking industry, I'm pretty sure, has got people scared because it's like, what do I do with my money now?
Well, first of all, man, I just want to congratulate you on your show. And
Thank you.
Let you know that I'm really proud of you. And that was a great preamble before you brought us on. And yes, I am on also on Wednesday nights at 5 p.m. It's called B&A Business Solutions. And a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight, I also address on my show as well. But Vincent, man, you're doing an outstanding job. It's like you're an old pro, buddy. So congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This is stuff I'm very passionate about. So getting on the air talking about it is something I love to do, and I feel passionate about bringing awareness to the people because if we can get our heads out of watching satellite TV and reality shows and really get some real knowledge, we can really advance ourselves as a people, and the government won't really be able to dictate to us what our choices are. We can make our own choices.
Well, that's exactly what, I guess we're going to talk about in regards to us as, people being able to not be looked upon as property and not be treated upon as property, but to actually take back, our liberties, our rights, and all that's going to be done through finances. You can talk about all the marching, you can talk about all the protests, and with all due respect to that, it comes down to your finances. Your finances is what's going to effectuate change. Not,
absolutely.
I hate to say it, but, protests and what have you that really fall on deaf ears to the elite. You got to get into those groups. You got to be a part of those things in order and be looked upon in that way in order to obtain the change that you want. Again, This is about solutions, not about problems.
Absolutely. And the thing is, this is not even a black or white thing. The only color that's really respected on this earth is green. If you don't have any of that, you don't have a voice. Even there's a verse in the good book that says that money answers all things. And I'll take it a step further. If you have any money, you don't have any answers.
Wow.
you don't have any answers because I'm telling you, you can go with your protests, your prayers, your moments of silence. And if you don't have any greenbacks or no money, no duckies, you're not getting nowhere.
Absolutely. And you have Mr. Mobley on the line here, and what, he brought me into as a founder of a special group of folks who are known as Silver Star FX, and it's an investment club that allows for us common people to do extraordinary things. And what we're able to do is to take, like I said, average folks and their money hard-earned money that they've made, and the investments, or I should say, to have them to invest in things that are actually going to create a profit for them. And what I like to say is, why not have your money work as hard for you as you do for it? That's
I agree.
And Mr. Mobley, in a minute, is going to tell and share with your listeners the power of the Forex market, as well as the power of the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and some of the other features and products that our investment club has that will allow for you to take, like I said, an ordinary $1,000 and in 5 years have $300,000 to retire on. That's what he's in the business of doing, retiring people.
I really want him to expound on that because I'm mad right now because I just called my 401k company and they told me how much I had in there, And I can't touch it
my God.
because I'm not old enough.
Oh my God. Well, Mr. Mobley, I think without further ado, the crowd needs to hear you, buddy, and I need you to
Please.
take the line, take the mic, and enlighten us with what
Well,
you do
I
for
appreciate.
401k's attention.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the ears and the attention upon the issue at hand. I mean, basically, what my job is to do is to incorporate your life. My job is to show you how to separate yourself from the luxuries of liability. And what I mean by the luxuries of liability, the American dream, as most of us have been raised to perpetrate. And when I say perpetrate, it's because of the smoke and mirrors and the design in which the American dream has been taught to you. It's been taught to you in accumulating debt all your life. I mean, if you look at what they've taught you to go to school, get your high school diploma, get a degree, get a job, get married, have kids, retire. I mean, that's the so-called American dream. But when you break it down, that college degree, you're paying $60,000, $50,000 for a piece of paper when you really have no foundation as to what you even want to do in life coming out of college. Once you have that degree and now you're struggling to find a job, life continues and the interest rates just continue to pound on you.
They do.
We incorporate your life. We show you how to live under your EIN. And what I mean by your EIN is your tax ID number. Why bond debt to your Social Security number? I'd have to have a whole nother conversation with you guys in regards to why it's no good to bond any debt to your Social Security number. Being as though that you're awarded a state at birth, that property and bondage of debt then lives with you until you literally serve your death certificate of death. And that is a profitable system for the American government that continues to allow the Federal Reserve to operate. So the teachings and education that we provide is we basically turn you into your own Federal Reserve. We show you how to open up another account, meaning another form of the banking institution to where you're not paying processing fees and monthly fees. So instead of opening like you were touching before about the FDIC only insuring $250,000 of your money, now ask yourself, why do most wealthy people don't use commercial banks?
Right. That's very true.
When I ask a lot of people the same question, why do you use commercial banks? The response is usually crickets. There's no understanding as to why they don't use commercial banks. It's, solely because they've been told. On top of the fact that this college degree has taught them how to basically reciprocate the same behavior told to them. Meaning, you're giving textbooks, you're told to recite those textbooks. You're going to be given a test on what you recite in those textbooks, and then you're going to write it down and you're going to be graded on it. So as you graduate, you're perpetrating the same system. You sign up for a job. That job signs you up as a W-2. No one understands the liability of you becoming a W-2 employee and the tax liabilities you have to that corporation and why you overpay in taxes every quarter. I can dig into this so deep, it kind of hurts the fabric of truth and what people know in their own existence.
Well, Mr.
So
Mobley,
giving you the platform. I'm sorry?
Truth is stranger than fiction. And, from what you're saying, I would gather that it's almost safe to say that the tax law and tax benefit was really made for corporation and not the laborer. Is that true?
Well, the only thing that they did was change the slave owner into a corporation and the slave worker into a W-2 employee. And they just changed the genre of words.
Right.
That's all they did. And then they formulated into a system that was the best marketing in the world, and they said it was the Constitution.
Right.
So off of that marketing, you raised generations of people to believe in a system. This is no different than religion.
Yeah.
They create a system that you believe into, that you don't need any facts to back it up. It's just something you believe in, regardless of
There you
what you
go.
see.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what you see. So the fact is, the reality of going to work for somebody and having to go in debt to be able to sign an application is false. I can show you how to create $100,000 in 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so why do you need to go and serve an institution of debt for $60,000 and then get an entry level position in that corporation and spend the rest of your life paying back that debt? Why not incorporate your life,
Mm-hmm.
become a 1099, and contract to that corporation the same service that they're hiring you for?
Right.
You now have leverage. We need to teach our people how to leverage our time for our money and not our money for our time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key to everything. Being able to compound it, being able to build compounded interest on your own dollar is the key to wealth, not working 40 years for somebody else's corporation or even for yourself. I mean, you can work for yourself and you can battle against the world of, big corporations for business. But at the end of the day, we can always leverage the same money for the same amount of hours in the same time. And being able to use some of these financial markets, such as Forex and cryptocurrency, and being able to mine our own cryptocurrency, being able to create our own reserve is very powerful.
Absolutely.
Being able to make 10%, 20%, 30% on your own dollar is very powerful. You know.
Well, Mr. Mobley, if you could talk more about that for our audience, could you expound on how somebody is going to benefit from joining Vincent and his program with SSFX, in that if they join him, you just mentioned about getting 10% of the dollar. I don't know if they heard that. Can you expound on that more?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, well, we're focusing on building debt-free millionaires. That's our focus. And when I say debt-free millionaires, you have to understand the formula of wealth. And what the formula of wealth tells you is assets minus liabilities equals wealth. Mm-hmm. So you can't gain wealth with having the liability of the debt. So when you're saying liability of the debt, we're speaking about mortgages and financing and anything you bond to your Social Security number. So being able to leverage and utilize your own money, number one, in a situation where you're in a broker account, your money's not being taxed, or you're not having transaction fees to be able to deal with your money as if you were in a management account with JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or anybody. I talk to people about what's in their financial portfolio and how their money grows. They don't really have too many answers. They don't really know how it works. So being able to have the visibility of in the palm of your hands to see your own money growing daily is fascinating. To be able to take $1,000 and apply the compounded interest theory to it of trading on the biggest market in the world, using the example of Forex, you can leverage your $1,000 on a $5.4 trillion market every single day and be able to receive 100% of the interest return back to yourself.
How much you say that market was?
Third party. Go ahead.
Repeat the amount of that market.
5.4 trillion a day.
That's bigger than the New York Stock Exchange.
The largest market in the world that you've never heard about.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other market bigger than the Forex market. It takes the stock market about 90 days to leverage that amount of money.
Wow.
And we're not at risk. We're talking about recession-proof money.
Mm-hmm.
So when the powers that be get together and formulate their theologies on what do they think, what company is going to do what, or what product's going to sell what, the volatility that they cause amongst the stock market is what allows the stock market to rise and fall. Well, regardless of what they think or their opinions, the Forex currency exchange market continues to move regardless of anybody's ideologies. At the end of the day, people are traveling every day and products and services are being sold every day. World currencies are being exchanged every day. So that allows you to be able to be profitable in a market that is recession-proof to the Federal Reserve or American government. Let alone we can talk about different tax exemptions being able to make money where the Federal Reserve is not able to tax those foreign exchange profits.
Hey, you know what, Mr. Mobley? I don't know if you we're going to go into this, but very interesting. You're talking about the world forex market. Everybody's currency outside of America is what's worth something more than the U.S. dollar. And I just learned of this corporation that's been put together recently called BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, Iran, and China. And they have formulated pretty much a conglomerate that is buying up all the U.S. debt. So, and the only way America will not go belly up is they have to trade on the forex market.
Well, the better question is what makes people believe that the American government is not already going belly up?
Right. Well, I mean, look at
That's the
our
question
debt.
that needs to be asked, because
That's true.
we don't manufacture anything.
Everything's
So
coming from outside.
What are we producing that's going to allow us to alleviate our debt? I mean, that's another part of that American dream that people have been believing for a long time. I mean, the debt is not, the market's been in the belly up. You know, the switch of the cryptocurrency has already shown us that the American federal debt note, I mean, what value does it hold? I mean, that's the scary part.
Right.
You're going to work and being paid in federal debt notes that are backed by what value?
Yeah.
And if we know finance and economics, what is everybody going to work for when they pay you your check? What's the value behind that check?
Well, what's our slogan that we always say? Cash is what? About to crash.
About to crash.
Cash is about to crash.
The reality is, I teach people that if you're getting a paycheck from a job, you better be turning that cash over into a secure line of credit as soon as you get paid.
Yeah.
If you're not turning your money into a secure line of credit, at this point, you're losing.
Right.
You know, you're losing on that value, because what you're working for does not have the same value that you're being compensated for. On top of your time you can't get back. So that $1,000 you got paid this week doesn't represent $1,000
No.
in value. You know, and this theory can be proven by, take your American dollar anywhere in the world and see what you get compensated for it.
That's very true.
You have to be able to know what a commodity and what brings value to the things that you work for. There's a reason why people still go to war over raw commodities, oil and diamonds and all those type things. You have to understand what the value of what a bond is. You have to understand how currency is created in order to understand the value of it. So giving your money away to the banks or to the taxation of the government because of you working for a corporation, or just spending 40 years working for a job that at the end of your 40-year tenure, your 401k compensation doesn't look like the package you signed up for.
Nowhere near.
There's a reason for all of that.
It's really sad. I had a gentleman that was working with me. I was working with him, and he just retired a couple months ago at my job, and he's been there for 44 years. And you know what they gave him at our end of the year ceremony? A gold watch. And because he'd been there 44 years, they added a little big screen TV to it. 44 years. 44 years. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure out how he's stretching his retirement and pension out. And the only reason he's doing maybe a little bit better than the average retiree is because he retired from the military prior to working at the job I'm at. But your average worker that's retired, the new face of McDonald's and Walmart right now is your baby boomer, the 65-year-old retiree. And that's pretty sad.
We're just getting started.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're just getting started. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the sad part.
It is.
Yeah, the reality of Social Security and all those things that's all the smoke and mirror. We're going to go to a world market. It's already happening.
Oh, absolutely. It's already
There's
put
a
in
reason
place.
why. Yeah, I mean, America is the one that's behind.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at countries who own our debt, like China and Asia, they haven't been using cash and credit cards. They don't even use those type systems.
No.
They already have acclimated to the system of, just pulling out their phone, and that's how they use their banking institutions. On top of now, China being a totally cryptocurrency country.
Right.
The digital format of currency has already begun almost 10 to 15 years ago. There's a reason why you have a chip in your debit card and passport.
Right.
And credit card.
That's true.
The digital currency is already upon you. It's already upon you. And if you're not adapting and converting your, legal tenders, meaning your cash, if you're not converting that over, you're losing value every day. It's kind of like having the air conditioner on in the middle of the summer with the windows open.
Right.
It's kind of what you got going on right now. So our platform allows you to basically secure your own foundation and be able to secure it from your own hands. When people use the terminology of investment, the first thing they think is, I have to give my money to somebody else to manage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not true. Technology allows us to put that control back in our hands. So with SilverStar FX, we give you the ability to create your own brokerage account and leverage your own money. Mm-hmm. Having the ability to leverage your own money on compounded interest daily, what that means is, if you put a penny in, we can just go very simple. I don't like, numbers, people lie, numbers don't. So we can take a penny today, we can turn that penny into 2 pennies tomorrow. We can turn that 2 pennies into 4 pennies by the 3rd day, 8 pennies by the 4th day, 16 pennies by the 5th day, 32 pennies, and you can continue on. Mm-hmm. So the leverage that you have, that the banks take from you every day while your money's sitting in their accounts, this is how they make their millions off of you every day. They take the total amount of depositories in their bank and they go to the markets every day that they close. Mm-hmm. They go and make their millions overnight, and then they put your deposit back in your account by opening a banking day the next day. That's how they make their money every day. So why not control your own leverage of your own money? Why are you putting that in the hands of banking institutions or quote-unquote financial advisors?
And as you're getting no benefit of it.
If they're not millionaires, I mean, what are they showing you?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
What are they showing you? They're showing you the systems. Brokers in this country are regulated.
Yeah.
To have a Series 7 in this country is not such a great thing. You're regulated. Mm-hmm. You can't go out and just sell certain Pacelli bonds or Farmer bonds or NTN bonds. You're regulated. There's a reason why they keep you regulated. So
very true.
We're showing people how to put the power back in their own hands. Even if you work at McDonald's, this is how powerful our system is. Even if you work at McDonald's, I could show you how to leverage your $15 an hour and leverage that to a point where you can become sustainable and financially free. Because number one, the first thing I can do is incorporate your life. When you stop bonding debt to your Social Security number, you now alleviate the power of leverage. Mm-hmm. You now create the power of being able to create equity without having the liability to actually, be responsible for it. Creating other people's money to create your money.
Right.
That's what most people don't understand. It's about profiles. It's not about your degree status or, what position you hold at your job. It's about creating a profile. Credit is about a profile. So if I can create a business profile for you, and I can leverage your business credit to where you don't need a PG, a personal guarantor, you're now able to create lines of credit and equity. If I can show you how to create $100,000 in 90 days, then why are you working at your job for $40,000, $50,000 a year?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's powerful.
That is.
Now it's about educating that person on where to put that $100,000, which is revolving as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand that as well. There's a difference between having $100,000 in cash and having $100,000 in a line of credit.
Right.
Very powerful between the two. Our people are taught to go out and get $100,000 in cash. What we're showing you is the power in going to leverage $100,000 in a line of credit built from a profile.
Because credit begets credit.
With.
Right. That's
yeah,
good.
This is, we're showing you leverage. We're showing you that you could take that $100,000 in a line of credit. If you put 5,000 of that into this particular Forex market and what we're talking about, you're now turning that $5,000, and let's just put it on the low end at a 10% return a month. You're talking about $500 returning to your profit, your margin. So now that 5,000 turns into 5,500. Now that 5,500 is now compounding on the same market. You take 100% of those returns and you apply that for 3 to 5 years. I guarantee you, your leverage will turn from 5,000 to something 6 figures. And that's no work done. That's just you leveraging your money. Wealthy people play golf during the week because they're leveraging their money. Their money's working for them.
Right. So they actually have time to. Profiles. They actually have time to enjoy the finer things in life while their money's working hard for them.
Yeah. I mean, there's no liability. At the end of the day, let's be serious. If I represent myself as eConnect Global and I go buy a jet and I don't pay for that jet, these are the hidden secrets we don't talk about. If I don't pay for that jet, I'll just bankrupt the company and start a new one.
Right.
I start a new corporation, and in 90 days, I'll have enough credit to go buy another jet.
Our president is a prime example of that. He's done that over and over.
He's the best, man. He is the best example you can find.
Yeah. How many hotels has he bankrupted and started a new one in the next 6 months?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the rich man's protection, the bankruptcy.
Absolutely.
You got Master P, 50 Cent. You can name a lot of people in our culture who have utilized and exercised that system to their favor. And the average person watching your local media outlet would think that person is having problems. And what he's really doing is he's protecting his assets. There's a reason why we have trust funds. There's a reason why you have levels of corporations from S corps to C corps to sole proprietor to LLCs. All these things are given to us to utilize as a line of protection for us to enjoy our lives. But we don't understand it because the doctrination of our education system does not teach us.
Right.
Just says go get a degree and get a job, be a worker. That's what we're taught. And if people in the world would understand that you are the corporation, everybody that works for a corporation, you are the corporation. Without you, the corporation would not run. So all you would have to do is just understand the legality of flipping from a W-2 to a 1099. You can now control more and leverage a higher pay rate just by flipping your credentials as from a W-2 to a 1099. Living under that EIN number gives you so much more benefits.
Right.
You'll be able to write things off in your life that you utilize every day instead of being bonded and liable to that tax debt.
That's true.
So this whole system is powerful, man. Like I said, I've probably been jumping around all over the place. But at the end of the day,
this is all pertinent information.
We're creating people and turning them and creating leverage to be debt-free. And once you understand how to create that leverage and separate yourself from any debt that you want to enjoy, because that's what it's all about in this world. We're put here to serve others. And in the midst of us serving others, we have some of the pleasures for us to enjoy. Cars and, those type of things are a part of the journey that some tangible things that we can enjoy. Now, all we have to do is educate ourselves on how not to be liable to enjoy those things. And there is a system built for you not to be liable. And when I say liable, that doesn't mean accountable.
Mm-hmm. Big difference.
So, big difference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I say not liable, I don't, I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to put the play on words, but that does not mean not be accountable.
Right. Right.
So, it's just the educational system that, listen, if I can leverage my $1,000 and I can turn it 6 figures in a matter of a couple years, that's a lot better than any other financial portfolio that I've seen, from mutual funds or IRAs to anything else. I mean, if anybody's got something better, please bring it to the table.
Please bring it to the table. Right now, I think this is about the best thing
please.
we've heard going. If you don't mind, Mr. Mobley, I'm going to go ahead and put the website out, and after I do so, I'd like you to explain to people how they can go ahead and get started once they go to that website. For those of you who might be interested, the website to go to is Silverstar FX. That's SILVERSTARFX as in Frank Xerox .com/1291.splash SPLASH. Say it one more time. silverstarfx.com/1291.splash, like splash in the water. So if they go to that website, do they have a couple options of how they can get started? Because the average person may say, well, I don't have $5,000 to get started. What can they do?
Well, the beauty of that question is we want you to sign up. We want you to input your information. So when you go to that URL address that was just given, sign up, become a part of our subscription weekly, which from our YouTube channel and our weekly webinars, we have 4 webinars a week.
Mm-hmm.
We have a weekly call on Monday night from our president just to give us, updates and tutorials on what's going on in the company. Tuesday nights is our first webinar of, what our service is, what our service provides to the people. Wednesday night, we have our women's empowerment group, where we solely focus on empowering the women of our community. And we so heartily back that program because the women are the nucleus of our families.
Absolutely.
The way that society is set up, a lot of us who grow up in 2-family households, the father tends to be, and I say tends to be because society has changed this, but tends to be the one running around with multiple situations trying to provide, as well as the woman taking care of the house. So we want to empower the women from the foundation of being able to work, take care of the family, and be the threshold of everything that we surround ourselves with. And then Thursday, we have another webinar for the same training and information. And then Saturday morning, we do a formal training. So we are in communication with our people weekly, daily. There's a system and a network built for this to educate you. And that's the first thing I suggest you do is sign up, put your information in there, get your email signed up so that you can get the daily information of what's going on. And then second, what I suggest is that you get next to the individual who exposed this information to you, and we sit down and we show you the ability to be able to create and set up your account. If you don't have $1,000 or $5,000, I mean, those are the people that I want to talk to, because if you're going to work every day and you don't have $1,000 accessible to yourself, then we want to sit down and we want to expose why that is. Like I said, even if you're a McDonald's worker, I can show a McDonald's worker flipping burgers at $15 an hour. I can show you and leverage a budget to where I can create you and incorporate your life. And within 90 days, I promise you, I can have you no less than $50,000 accessible to you to be able for you to leverage. Now, the keynote to that education is, yeah, we can create it, but now it's having the education on knowing what to do with it. because you're still accountable. You know,
Right.
Let's bring back that word accountable. You're still accountable. So you don't want to create situations that give you the opportunity to succeed, and then because of your lack of education, you mess it up by doing the wrong things. So anybody, I don't care what your walk of life is, whether you're an executive at your corporation or whether you're, whether you're the, I don't know, the person working at McDonald's. And I don't want to use McDonald's as if that's something bad, but, minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
We can show you how to leverage and create equity. That's the whole point. And once you create it, we'll show you and educate you on how to grow it. And you don't have to be rocket science or astronaut. This is simple math.
This is good. Very good. We definitely need to do another call on this just to follow up and maybe get some more people involved in, because this education is ongoing. This is not something you just learn in a day.
This is generational.
Absolutely.
Yes, this is, we're teaching you how to create trust funds so that your kids can live off the fruit of your labor.
Absolutely.
This is the conversation we're having.
Yeah. This is definitely establishing a legacy for your family, for your posterity, because this is the only way really to rescue your children, because if you're telling them that, that 40 year American dream or nightmare, as they call it, to go ahead and go to college and get a job, and if you leave them just with that, they're going to be worse off than we are.
Very much so.
We have to give them something better.
Well, the proof's in the pudding already.
It is. It absolutely is.
It's already right in front of us. What our grandfather showed us does not apply to our fathers, and what our fathers showed us, if our fathers were even around to show us, does not apply to us. So we definitely have to break the cycle and the generational, I don't want to call it a curse, but the generational misunderstanding of information.
Yeah.
We definitely have to break that cycle right now.
Right.
Because we have no influence. If we can't influence legislation, I mean, we have no significant say. We're not being heard.
It's very true.
So if you don't have the finance or the economic positioning to influence legislation, your words are just going unheard. Just a whole lot of, yelling and walking and preaching going on with no results.
Right. It's true. Well, gentlemen, it's definitely been a pleasure. My airtime is about to come to an end. And I definitely want to invite you all to come back on another Sunday broadcast and talk about this some more. It's like I said, this is an ongoing conversation. So I appreciate your time, which I know is very valuable. But I definitely appreciate both of you calling in, Mr. Borges and Mr. Mobley, who are definitely successful businessmen that I look up to, and appreciate their time and their conversation on this end.
Proud of you, brother. Keep it up. This is your first show, but keep it up. I'm really looking forward to tuning in and hopefully even coming in and joining you at times as well.
Absolutely. Always welcome.
Well, you be blessed. And thank you, Mr. Mobley, for coming on as well.
We appreciate you. And know that we're here for the journey, because we will create change.
Great.
So
that's good.
Consistency. We'll be here.
Thank you.
God bless you, sir.
All right. Well, as you've heard, we've just gotten a wealth of information from two successful gentlemen that I definitely look up to and trust, and that are helping to coach me in that direction of becoming successful myself. And this is information I just want to share with the audience so they can advance themselves, because we don't have to be held in a slave position or in a position of limitation. You don't have to stay there. It might be the cards that you were dealt, but you don't have to. If you play the cards right, you can come out winner. You don't have to, fold. I'm always going to, at every broadcast, I will always recommend some material or books that you should read. maybe turn the TV off a little bit and get your head into a book. This information that I give on this show is always going to be verifiable. I don't give a whole lot of mumbo jumbo. I don't believe in just throwing out a bunch of junk talk. I give verifiable information. You can go and check it out for yourself. The stuff I was talking about earlier with the Wizard of Oz and the Straw Man, you should look at a book called The Crime of 1873, and also another book. I don't have the author on that. It's an older book talking about where they got the philosophy of the Wizard of Oz from. And also there's another book by G. Edward Griffin called The Creature from Jekyll Island. That will mess your life up. It's a big 600-page book. Get it, read it. You will never look at the banking industry the same way. If you don't feel like reading a long page, it's on audiobook. Get it and listen to it. It will change your life. You'll never look at the banking industry the same way. You'll before you put your money into another bank account, you'll go back to the way grandma used to do it and put your money in the mattress. I'm telling you. But empower yourself. Read. Leaders are readers. You can always judge the mentality of a individual by the size of their library. The wealthy individual will have a larger library than they will a DVD or TV collection. So I encourage you, there's way too much knowledge and information out there for anybody to remain ignorant. There's big stores out there that sell millions of books. Go out there and you can sit and read the books for free. You don't even have to buy them. Go get you a cup of coffee, read a book, put it back on the shelf, and empower yourself with some knowledge. And that's my show has come to a close. It's definitely been a pleasure. I will be back here next week. Next week we have a special guest coming on, Dr. Scott McQuate. My show, for those of you who don't know, is called Freedom Truth Radio. And we hit subjects on banking, religion, and nutrition and diet. So those are the three areas that we will always be covering. Next week, we're going to get into a little bit of religious study. And this is, I have Dr. Scott McQuate coming on, who is an exegetical theologist on the ancient Sumerian texts. And he breaks down the Bible with all the old foreign languages that the scriptures were based on, and you do not want to miss that broadcast. Just a shout out to a couple people that helped me pay the bills and keep myself on the air. I Am Styles House Staging and Interior Decorating. Get in contact with them, 609-225-0779. Talk to Lady Michelle. She will decorate your house and make it look like one of the houses on Cribs. She's good at what she does. Also, if you're looking for personal chefing and catering services, check out Touch of Class Catering. Call 609-516-4165. Thank you to those who have listened, and I hope the rest of you who haven't listened have heard about the show, and we'll hear about it and listen in again next week. We'll be back here, same time next week, 9:30, Sunday night, Freedom Truth Radio Show. This is your host, Vincent, and I'll be back to see you again. Thanks for listening. Cool.